Welcome back to The Juggle is Real. I'm Andryanna, and I'm here to talk about Christmas, and I'm not talking picture perfect Pinterest Christmas. I'm not talking the Ralph Lauren Christmas or Studio McGee Christmas. I'm talking 90s Christmas because after the year we've all had, and especially after the fall that I personally lived through, moving and peak work madness and all the chaos with kids and hockey, I am calling in a holiday season that feels slower, that feels calmer, more connected, and honestly, I want to have more fun. And so when I thought about this and I thought about this episode, I was just like, okay, well, what does that actually look like? Like what am I calling in? Like, we got to be clear when we want to manifest something, right? And so immediately my brain goes straight to the 90s. I've seen a few social media posts, and my mom has also been recently sending us photos in our little family group chat from past Christmases, many moons ago, Nintendo 64, my brother sleeping in his new Keds high top sneakers. Honestly, just like the cutest and the best memories. And it's all of these things, like when you think to the 90s and if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably of the era where you've lived through it, things like waiting an entire week for a Christmas special to come on TV, watching the telethon, calling a friend from your landline to see if they could play, having to talk to their parents, going to the mall. So either like going to the mall with your parents or like as, a preteen, a teen, going to the mall at Christmas, like just the best feeling, the mall Santa, or actually just standing in line with nothing to look at, no phone to distract you. Maybe you had a pretzel from the food court, the Nintendo marathons where you had to play the same level 14 times in order to beat it. No one cared. It was slower. It required a little more patience, but it built resilience and a little more tolerance to frustration. And somehow, with way fewer quote unquote experiences, like it wasn't like jam packed, filled with all sorts of things, it felt more magical. So today's episode isn't about recreating your childhood because no one needs to bring up, like, I don't know, some of the other things like dial up internet. But today is about asking, how can we create a 90s style Christmas for the Gen Zs, for the Gen Alpha kids, using what we know now about our attention, about nervous system regulation, and about the science of connection? This episode is all about how we can help our kids slow down, settle, actually play, and how we, like me and you as the adults, can join them in that instead of running around the house yelling, where's the tape? Or like, whose gift card is this for? Or whatever. I want today to feel fun and nostalgic and insightful and actionable. And I promise you that everything I'm sharing in this episode is going to be low effort, but high reward. It's going to be based on real research about how kids and parents' brains are functioning today. So pour yourself something hot or get your gift wrapping station ready, or just, hide in the car for a few extra minutes like every other parent in December, and let's dive right in.
This is the Juggle is Real podcast. I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started.
This episode of The Juggle is Real is supported by Lindt. It's such a busy season. So I think we can all agree that the holidays aren't really about the big flashy moments. They're really about those little pauses where we slow down, connect, and show the people we love that we've been thinking of them. And that's why Lindor truffles have become one of my favorite ways to give small but meaningful gifts during the season. There's just something about them. The beautiful packaging, the anticipation of unwrapping one, and that smooth melting center crafted by Lind's Maitre chocolatiers. It feels like a tiny moment of luxury you get to share. They come in a 156-gram box or 150-gram bag and look beautiful under the tree, tucked into a stocking, or added to a hostess gift. But more importantly, they create a real moment of connection. Because sometimes the simplest gesture, like offering someone a little chocolate bliss, can say the most. And this year, Lindt has brought back some festive favorites too. Classics like their holiday gift boxes and even their iconic Lindt Teddy, as well as seasonal options like dark milk truffles and Lindor peppermint cookie milk chocolate truffles. Everything is crafted with that same Swiss precision and care that makes Lindor such a holiday staple for so many Canadian families. So, whether you're wrapping gifts, hosting friends, or just wanting to make someone's day a little brighter, Lindor chocolate truffles is such an easy way to give the gift of bliss. You can get everything you need for the holidays at lindt.ca or at Lindt chocolate shops near you. And get ready to give the gift of bliss to those you love this holiday season. Now, let's get back to the episode. Okay, before we get into all of these ideas that I found, I want to talk about the why. Because Christmas today, it's loud, it's overstimulating, it is filled with so much pressure. And I'm talking about me, I'm talking about adults and parents, but I'm also talking about kids. Kids are overwhelmed, parents are overwhelmed. Everyone is one Costco trip away from a serious meltdown. And I want to compare that to the 90s. We didn't have instant entertainment. We didn't have 400 things to do every weekend. We didn't have phones glued to our hands, in our back pockets, with us at every moment, every bathroom trip, every lineup that we were in. We had waiting, we had boredom, and we had playing outside until someone yelled for us. We had the video games that made us problem solve without a tutorial. And surprisingly, or I don't know, maybe not surprisingly, there is research that shows that these exact experiences supported our development in really important and massive ways. So, the waiting in line, or just like waiting, that's the delayed gratification. That's something that a lot of kids struggle with right now. The playing outside, I mean, maybe kids are doing it, but probably not as much as we used to. And that really, really helps with regulation and focus. And the boredom part, that supports creativity and resilience in huge ways. And if you have video game struggles or iPad struggles or screen time struggles, I know I do in my house, those old school games, like that supported pattern recognition, frustration tolerance, also things like persistence. You couldn't just Google like the cheat code or or get that instant reward for something just by like clicking like on someone's YouTube post. So when we talk about creating a 90s Christmas, we're not talking about aesthetics. And maybe you still have some super sweet vintage decorations, or maybe you're pulling out the tinsel and like that's awesome, good for you. But for this episode, I want to talk about brain development, I want to talk about attention and connection. And so this is a holiday episode because I want to personally do this like over the Christmas holidays. I want to slow down and connect with my kids more. But this is also going to lead into the new year, into just your day to day lives, because our kids are growing up in a completely different world than we did. And this world is incredibly stimulating, incredibly demanding, and it's incredibly tough on their nervous systems. And that brings me to how our kids' brains work differently now. And I want to break it down gently because honestly, like this episode, not about guilt, not about shame. I'm not here preaching from the choir, okay? Because I am here saying, like, I understand, I'm living it every single day. Today's kids, whether that's Gen Z, Gen Alpha, living with constant stimulation and instant gratification, a lack of boredom, a decrease in outdoor play, more and more screen time, especially at younger ages. And also, there's more pressure. Like with extracurriculars, socially, kids who have social media or posting, or, you need the latest. What's the latest Stanley Cup? Awala, like what are kids using? There's more pressure academically. There's just a lot of time in up mode, in a heightened mode with our nervous systems. It's fast, it's reactive, it's more excited, it's more stimulated. And it's not a lot of time in that settled rest and digest mode where the learning and the bonding and that emotional processing actually happens. So there's a little bit of research and the screen time and this lack of focus and attention tells us that kids who spend more time on these fast-paced apps and on screens more, they show more difficulty with sustained focus. And sleep is a big one too. Sleep is affected when screens, especially like the stimulating ones and the YouTube shorts and the Roblox, are used right before bed. Outdoor play, on the other hand, drastically improves things like emotional regulation, attention, sleep, and behavior. So there's no fear mongering here. This is just context. This is just, sharing what I've learned. Our kids aren't different in a bad way. And so I'm not saying this because it's like we have to go back and we have to totally get rid of everything, because there are things that are really supportive. I have a child with a learning disability. There is, speech to text. There are things that are really supporting our kids in this new digital era, but the environment overall is different. And so we just need to maybe help balance it a little bit. And so this is where I think we can pull in a little bit from the 90s. Maybe we can take a quick detour and we can get into a little bit more of that delayed gratification and using it as a superpower. So I want to talk about like this, I don't know, I guess surprisingly connected piece to what I mean when I'm talking about a 90s Christmas, the delayed gratification part, And I don't know if you remember this. I saw this all over social media maybe a couple years ago, the marshmallow test, like where you'd put your phone down or like a computer and you'd videotape your kid and you'd explain them like, if you have one marshmallow now, I'm going to put all the marshmallows down. If you just wait a few minutes till mommy comes back, or if you wait 2 hours, or if you wait till tomorrow, you can have 2 marshmallows later or the whole bag later. And so the research here suggested that kids who waited had better outcomes later in life. But newer research shows it's less about your willpower, because like honestly, if you give your kids treats right in front of them and you tell them they can't have it, it's less about the willpower, because that can be tricky, but it's more about trust, environment, emotional regulation, and practice. And so if this was the first time you did this with your child and you didn't explain it, or they weren't used to, this delayed gratification piece, of course it's going to be obvious that they're going to want to take all the marshmallows right away. For us, for 90s kids, we had this built-in practice all the time. We had to wait for our TV shows, whether that was your TGIF and your favorite show, or you had to watch the commercials. You couldn't skip past them after a few seconds. You had to save up. Maybe you had an allowance. Money wasn't electronic, so you had to have a piggy bank. You had to retry your Nintendo levels over and over. There was more boredom. It was more waiting without constant entertainment. And those little small reps of the delayed gratification, it built patience and anticipation and more resilience. Today's kids don't naturally get those reps in. And so we're expecting them to be able to be focused, to be able to have the willpower when they've never had to wait, when they've got rewarded at every turn. You got a participation award. So building in tiny moments of waiting, and we can make it more fun. We can put it into the holiday season and put a spin on it. It's really an amazing gift for their brains, and it's going to support them moving through into the next year, moving into the rest of their lives. So let's get into some easy, some low effort, and some high reward 90s traditions that you can start now. This is the fun part. How do we bring a 90s vibe without moving into the woods and just going off the grid, taking away our Wi-Fi and just totally like abandoning everything, These are the simple, deeply effective ideas that I think your kids will actually love and that you're probably going to love too, because they do not require like a craft bin explosion of glitter or slime or like tearing apart every single cupboard and pantry and getting out all the baking supplies. So, number one, you're going to have the 90s game night. And this can be with something like, a Nintendo Switch for the family with games that are, not the Roblox, or it could be board games. Dust off maybe an old school Nintendo or some of those classic games, break out a board game. The magic is not what you're playing. The magic is not the game itself. It's the taking turns. It's the waiting. It's retrying. It's laughing together. This is not about high competition. It's about building focus and the frustration tolerance and that connection. And so you can say, okay, for every, say you're playing Super Mario level, the winner picks the next Christmas song or, something like that. Another thing you could do is a puzzle or a Lego table and set everything up together. You can set up, your dining room or your kitchen table with a puzzle, with a bucket of Lego, create a village, something that is a slow burn project. And you can let it stay out for a few days. You can let it stay out during the holidays. The kids can dip in and out. It doesn't have to be something that's done all in one shot. So maybe you have like a puzzle table that you can bring back and forth, but it's something that's more quiet, it's more slow, and it really is deeply regulating. Coloring is a good one too. So like having maybe some holiday themed coloring books. I know my sister and brother-in-law, they do every year, they have a tradition with their kids where they do like a canvas painting. And so maybe you could look on, YouTube or download something where it's like you are kind of all following, those paint night guides and doing it with your kids. Just a regulating thing. It's not like who does it first, it's not who does it best. It's just the process of doing it and coming together to build that connection in a nice, slow, and meaningful way. The third thing is going to be the waiting in line games. Okay. So I'm talking 90s style, when you have to wait. So you might have doctor's appointments or, you might be standing in line at the grocery store. And instead of, or you might be like on a road trip. I want you to try not to pull out the screens right away. Or the second that someone says I'm bored, like immediately pass them your phone. When you have to wait, let's bust out the I spy. Let's bust out the gratitude alphabet. So for every letter of the alphabet, think of something that starts with that letter that you're grateful for from this year. You can make up a story. So I say one sentence, you say the next sentence. Something maybe about the mall Santa's elves or a topic about their favorite Christmas tradition. What about guess the Christmas song from 3 words? Or humming. I know we talked about this in a past podcast episode. Hummus is good too, but humming is really good, stimulates your vagus nerve, which is also supportive of your nervous system. So humming a Christmas song and making that person guess and going back and forth. This is building the muscle of I can wait. I'm okay. I'm safe. Might feel uncomfortable, but I can get through this. Another thing we can do, and I alluded to this in the introduction, getting outside more. So creating more of those outdoor adventures, and it doesn't have to be like a ski weekend in Banff or, the Swiss Alps. I'm talking about going sliding. I'm talking about building a snow fort. I'm talking about playing hockey in the driveway. I've got my brother-in-law and my husband and my father-in-law building a rink on the lake right now as I record this. I'm talking about a walk after dinner or a drive with the windows down if you live somewhere where you can't go for a walk to go look at the lights. 20 minutes outdoors does more for your child's regulation and sleep than almost anything else. And I'm going to say it again. Just 20 minutes outside playing outdoors is better for your child's regulation and better for their sleep than like any other medication or trick or hack out there. This episode is supported by Whirlpool. You might know we recently moved into a new house and there is so much on the go and so many emotions. There is so much excitement. There's tons of boxes still everywhere and pictures still to be hung. And there's many moments where we have been saying, where is my fill in the blank? And we're slowly settling in. But in the middle of it all, I realized something. And that is that your routines don't magically come with you. You have to rebuild them. One dinner, one drawer, one dishwasher cycle at a time. And honestly, I can say that Whirlpool has been such a big part of helping our family settle in and find that flow again. I love our new French door fridge. It has tons of space and flexible storage that we need for all the game day snacks and school lunches. And I have a designated snack zone so that I don't have to hear, "Mom, I'm hungry," every 5 minutes. The kids know where they can go to get a snack. I also love the Whirlpool 30-inch range. I think it's been my favorite. It has a wipe clean coating on the cooktop, so, when the inevitable pasta sauce spills or soup or scrambled eggs, I can literally just wipe it clean with water. No scrubbing, no harsh cleaners, just water, wait, and wipe. Honestly, it's amazing. And of course, anyone with kids or a busy household knows that the cleanup is constant, but my new Whirlpool dishwasher has total coverage wash, so everything comes out clean, no matter who loads the dishwasher. I'm talking about my husband. And then that third rack on the dishwasher is perfect for my little guy sippy cups. It fits mugs, little bowls, utensils, and those hockey night little snack plates. It truly handles it all. And so it's true what they say, that when the kitchen runs smoothly, the whole home feels more calm. And in this season of life, with school, sports, work, and just everything, those little pockets of ease really matter. So if you're in a full season too, or you're dreaming up your own fresh start at home, check out the Whirlpool lineup to see how they're making family life more functional at whirlpool.ca. Because home isn't just where life happens, it's where routines take root. And when your space supports you, everything else just flows a little easier. Now let's get back to the episode. The next thing is a long form holiday activity. So this is the nostalgic stuff. So this is where you can get into something like baking a batch of cookies, writing out Christmas cards, thank you cards for the teachers, making homemade ornaments, getting your kids to help you and wrapping gifts together. And not every day, maybe just once or twice. Let it be messy, let it be fun, get into it, understand that this is a process and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so those are the fun ideas. But now I want to talk a little bit about when things do get hectic, because it's inevitable. The holidays can be a little chaotic, to bring in some nervous system support for both your children and for yourself. And this is why we're going to bring in the science and the softness, because we're all overstimulated. The kids are, we are. Creating this 90s Christmas really is about creating a nervous system friendly Christmas. So for kids, I'm talking about predictable routines. So right now there's a lot going on. They've got concerts, they've got plays, they've got all sorts of activities. And during the holiday break, when maybe the schedule is more free and open, having a few anchors during what can be a chaotic month can be really supportive. So continuing with a little bit of consistency. I have my visual charts that I will still bust out even during the holidays. You can find them in the notes for this podcast episode. Screens down before bed. That's going to be a big one. Helpful for melatonin and sleep. So try to do this an hour before bed if you can, 30 minutes before bed. Screens down as long as possible before you're turning off the lights and heading to bed. Outdoor play, we've already talked about. It's going to support that nervous system reset. And then when you're in those busy periods, maybe you have events to go to, maybe there's holiday dinners and festive events. When you get home, when you're back from those busy occurrences, dimming your lights and then slowing things down. So instead of jumping on the video games, think more like reading, bath time. Maybe you're going to put on twinkle lights instead of the bright lights, slower cuddles, and more regulation support. You can try a simple grounding game like the find 5 things, like 5 red things, 5 green things, listen for 3 sounds, trying to get your senses to support you in grounding. And for parents, this part matters just as much because we grew up slower, right? If you grew up in the 90s, your nervous systems were wired in a different world than we are living in today. So supporting ourselves might look like one tech-free night a week or putting your own phone down at a certain time every night. Micro breaks throughout the day, and that's last week's episode, so definitely check that one out. Letting good enough be enough, right? Not expecting perfection out of everything. And then maybe you're going to choose one holiday tradition and then you're going to let go of the rest. If you aren't going to do the Christmas cards this year, that's okay. What's one thing that's really meaningful for you that you have energy for, and what can you release for this year? Breathing, slowness, softness, being kind and giving yourself grace, even for 30 seconds, it's going to support you so, so much. Which brings me to attunement and co-regulation, because I think that really is the magic of blending today with a 90s Christmas. Because you can have all the traditions in the world, you can be doing all the things, but nothing beats attunement. And if you're still high wired and like on another level and yelling and frantic, your kids are going to pick up on that and they're not going to be able to regulate. So attunement is noticing your child's emotional state and responding with connection. Instead of seeing, they're having a meltdown, they're having a tantrum, noticing how they're feeling, noticing what that state is, and responding in a way that supports that connection with them instead of like yelling at them or grounding them or, bringing them even higher. And co-regulation is that calm signal that helps their nervous system calm down, right? It's modeling the behaviors that you want your kids to display and supporting you in a regulating way. So this is what would happen, right? You're reading together, you're waiting together, you're doing the puzzles, you're playing games side by side, you're having a slower bedtime routine. The long drives might have Christmas music instead of screens. We weren't as distracted, we were more present. And so presence, I think, is the ultimate 90s parenting hack. And so this holiday season, I know we've got lots on the go. I know things are busy and you have a ton on your plate. Even for 5 minutes, sit down beside them to play. Get down on the ground with them. Get next to them 5 minutes and support them. Help them with that co-regulation. Notice how they're feeling. Notice how they're doing. Ask them some questions. Match their energy and then gently bring it down. So if they are really wired, maybe have a quick dance party. What's your favorite Christmas song? Dance it out and then slowly bring it down. Let's pick up a book. Let's grab a puzzle. Let's slow things down. And you can narrate the emotions, like, ooh, that was really, really exciting, or that felt really, really frustrating. Do you want to try it again together? And let them see you slow down too. Your nervous system and how you're responding teaches theirs what safety feels like. And that, there's nothing more magical. So as we get closer to the end of this episode, I want to share a few brain hacks for a more connected holiday season. And you can bring these ideas into your home. Things like single task moments. When we play, we play. When we watch a movie, we watch a movie. We're not doing 10 things at once. And this is a good reminder for me. Sometimes I'll put on a show for my kids and sit with them, but like I'm responding to emails on my phone, or I'm doing something, I'm scrolling, or I'm trying to empty the dishwasher while popping in and out and back and forth while watching Home Alone, right? So single task moments, and support your kids in doing this as well. Another one is friction down for connection. Okay, so when it's around you, your phone or the iPad or the remote control, they're just very distracting, even if you're not looking at them. Put it in a basket, put it in a gift box, put it under the tree, something somewhere that's not going to distract you. And even in the busy season, I want you to incorporate slow pockets. So yes, there's lots to do, but one slow morning or one slow evening walk, one slow doable thing. This is enough, and this is the whole point of it. It's not doing everything. It's not, Again, going off the grid. And so as we close out, here's what I want to leave you with. A 90s Christmas isn't about recreating your childhood. It's about slowing down enough to actually experience this one. It's about enjoying the moment where we are right now. Attention, connection, presence, play, and giving your kids the real magic and gift of a regulated, attuned parent, even in small pockets. So pick one simple tradition, one nervous system support tool that we went over today for yourself. And that's it. Because trust me, that is more than enough and you don't have to do it all. So if this episode resonated, if you think that you know someone who could truly enjoy bringing back some of that 90s Christmas vibe, I want you to send this to them, someone who's trying to make the season magical without burning out. And maybe reach out to me, send me a note on Instagram, or there's an email address in the notes for this podcast episode. Let me know what a 90s Christmas tradition is that you experience that you want to bring back this year. I love hearing from you. I love hearing these stories. And I truly love that you listen and you were in on this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. I can't wait to see you here next week. Come on back. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow along. Until then, take good care.